Hey, it's a last Saturday, 19th of February. This excuse me. Anyways, I'm going to talk about properties and other stuff. Today, I flipped a lot of properties. Still do. Flipping properties. It's a fun thing. It's make a lot. And it's really cool. And if you're flipping residential or commercial, residential is a hell of a lot easier to flip. And so let's just kind of start talking a bit. So when you're flipping properties in a hot market, you need to move unless you can find a house that needs a lot of work, because that's what you'll find maybe. Do in a hot market, if you're in a real hot area, and you just kind of start there. Basically, a lot of it's going to have to do with if you know a realtor and that realtor's experience, been around for a while and knows a lot of people and has done a lot of deals, because they're going to know people and they may know other realtors in their office, rather investors that may have properties in work, or they might have stuff that comes off market. I used to do this stuff all the time. If I didn't myself, with my cousin or other people, that's a deal. So in a hot market, a lot is going to who you know kind of thing. You might find it yourself. Awesome. I was talking about, I'll have to go over that again. Cards, that works too. The area is really hot. You need to look at going further out from your radius. And I'm talking 25, 30, 40 miles out, maybe 50 miles out. And don't be afraid to do that, because there's good deals there. And you're going to say, well, we're out. It may not be as hot, but you might be able to get a really good deal. And you look at that. Also, you need two things that are really good. You need a good real estate agent that can run comps for you and fix it up. This is a cost related. Now, right now, I'm just going to talk about residential before I go into commercial, different beasts. So on residential, you need the real estate agent. Besides going through the multiple, might have off-it stuff. Okay. And you might run your own deals, sending out postcards, maybe putting door hangers, whatever. And so that's different ways to do it. Postcard program. You have an internet site. On the internet, you have a Facebook page. You might have a Twitter account, Instagram, whatever. So anyways, there's different ways to title for doing that. But if you have a really good real estate agent, that's going to help. Having a good mortgage broker going to help, because of how you're going to finance it. Now, depending on how many properties you own, there's different ways that you can. If let's say you have a property been in for like 6 months, 5, 6, 7 months or more, you buy another property down. Make sure if you do buy zero down property, you don't have a prepayment penalty on it. Also, too, if you're going to buy a property, put it on a ARM, which I haven't really gotten into. ARM, sometimes it can be helpful weapon, sometimes it can't, because you can get an extra low rate. Yeah, I know the rate's around 4%, which is still low. Anything under 6% to me is really low. 6.5% is pretty low. That's when rates were in the 8s and 9s. So anyway, so you get a zero down loan if you can work it that way. If you're doing multiple properties, you're trying to get over, with 5, 10% down investor programs. They do have them, but it depends on the state you're in. So you need to factor that out. Cash is king when you're dealing with flips, and you have to have a good mortgage broker that understands non-owner occupied really, really well. Now, there are some you might have a couple properties, and you might be able to work. Sometimes you can work it to your advantage. Sometimes you can't. The reason is they'll look at the valuations of your properties that you own, because you have to disclose them. And so if property is this much, but you're buying it for this, that won't fly. So it'll be a non-owner occupied deal, but the rates are still get it in the 4s, low 5s. So anyways, make sure you do not have a payment penalty on there. I don't care if they knock a quarter or half point off your rate. You do not prepayment on there. Basically, you don't want it. Usually what happens is on the pre-penalty payment, you just don't want it on there. You don't want it. You get an ARM, make sure it's not on there. If you get it anyways, you're doing a fixed 15 or 30, make sure you don't have it, please. So you need to make sure of that. Now, I do have a program which is essentially up to 90% LTV. It's a flip program, and this is basically what I call off, because it's mortgage. A funder that I have, no one will ever know about. because they don't advertise. And if you're not in the business like I've been forever, I do commercial loans. I don't do residential, but I do commercial all over around the U.S. You'll never find this person, I should say. So there are some out there. Some mortgage brokers may have some access stuff. FHA used to have a program, but it was a total scam, and it was total appraisers are pretty bad usually because the way they, but it still was, it got abused so bad. There are some other programs out there, and they vary by region. And I'm telling you this up front because you have to talk to them. As I'm saying, the mortgage broker they need to know the conventional garbage stuff, which you talk about, and then you have to know the alternate age or the non-prime kind of stuff, which is subprime, essentially subprime or the alt A. But Ralph, if your credit's decent, you can still work the rates and everything else. And putting the money down, you have to put in a vary with 3, 5, 10, 15%, 20. But the goal about this is to keep your least amount of cash at 5% down to work it. And then essentially cash is king because basically you want to make the property look like a palace, but you don't want to spend that much money. So you need to know how to work it. So if you're doing the work yourself, cool. If you're contracting it out, subcontract parts. That's how I used to do it. But I had good people working for me, so I could subcontract the plumbing. I had good carpenters that were all master journey level carpenters that did it on the side. So I had one guy that used to do a lot of properties for me, but also he did a ton of deals with me because he bought his own stuff and he did it. And I had some other people too that go in there and slam it out. Something is, me and my cousin, when we had a bunch of people working for us, we had all these assistants. We also had a general contractor working for us because we were carrying 20 plus properties at a time in variances. So one might be an apartment building here, a house here, blah, 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 blah. So anyway, so I've rocking this. So I'm telling you, cost is a big issue. But like I said, you want to make it look like $1 million, but you don't want to spend $1 million. Grant Cardone was talking about this a few months ago, talking about when he goes and they're redoing them and basically things, certain things, for when you're wood flooring to make sure it connects, get rid of the carpet. You need steel appliances, which you need, but you can get them really good cost if you buy them online. If you buy them online, you get a lot cheaper than if you buy them in the store, but you go check it out. You know what I'm saying? And you wash and dryer, get hot points because you don't the mat or you don't need the Samsungs or the LGs and get a good washer and dryer. And even though you can get it for a pretty good price, you might be able to get it better because you're a builder. We have a contractor's license. If you're getting a contractor's license, you get it. They're not that expensive to get through the state, depending on where you're at. But it's something you get because you can work some deals. If you got a good contractor using, they can get the deal for you. So they can get percentages off. Even if they do it online, you can still get it. So right now, I know things are tough to get to get product, but you can still get a lot of stuff anyways. And there's still some good deals depending on where you go. I know depending where like Lowe's and Home Depot nationally, Menards is basically a Midwest company. I kind of wish Menards is out in the West and some parts of the Southwest, basically the West Coast, even the East Coast. Menards, because they got some really cool stuff that they can't get at Lowe's and you can't get at Home Depot. And then you have your other regional chains, lumber yards, that kind of thing. So it's a cost prohibitive thing, but you're trying to work it so you can get it and you can flip it out pretty quick. So when you check it out, make sure your mortgage broker checks out. Mortgage broker is really important. Your real estate agent. Also, too, when you're looking at the house, just like I said, we're just concentrating on the house right now. If you're looking at the house, make sure the real estate agent does 2 things for you, okay? Because this is massive experience that I'm telling you guys. You guys keep it on the up and up. You do a CMA analysis on the property, basically showing it is completely fixed. You have your basically when they're doing the CMA, the cost market analysis, market valuation on the property, showing afterwards. Make sure that the house that they have listed in there are still available, go in and take a look at them. Because what happens is a lot of properties right now that are pending, a lot of agents are taking the boxes off in a lot of areas, especially on the east and west coast, which probably according to their multiple listing servers you can't do, but they do it anyways. And so you have to call the agent and they'll let you in. And so they don't want, and I understand why, but anyways, because a lot of agents don't follow the rules anyways. But anyways, that's just kind of how it goes. So hey, make sure you look at those properties that are lit on there to take a look at them so you know what you're comparing it to, because it's apples to apples, orange to oranges, not apples to oranges. So if you have a Rambler, look at the Ramblers. That's a one-story. It's a daylight-based Rambler. That's a Rambler with a basement. Two-story the basement. A multi-level property is going to be first story, second, third, fourth story in the house. You know, level houses, which is a story and a half. Don't ever buy a level house. It's not good unless you're going to tear the roof up top and make it a full level. That's just a word of advice. Anyways, so it could be a two-story house, whatever. There's a lot of variances in there. But like I said before, it just depends on how your multiples got it set up. Multiples usually are pretty much the same. They have a number corresponding to the type of house it is. Also, too, when you do flips, don't buy single-wide trailers. Please don't buy those single-wides. Don't buy manufactured homes. Buy an actual house. Okay, so a lot of it's going to be cost, so you have to look at that. No cost in the house. They got wood floors. We do them. You have to get the wood floor, get the flooring that you can get it and connect it. They got some really cool stuff out there, really inexpensive. Oh, my cat. Anyways, so it's really inexpensive. So also, you know, the bathroom, make sure you got a vanity, you know, good vanity in there with a good folks. Make sure you got a vanity with the mirror that you can open up. Have the wider vanity if you can do it. Make sure you got tile in the best nice wood floor. The wood flooring is really good. You know, make sure that if you can put out a bath in there with the shower if you can do it. Sometimes you might have a separate bath. You know, a lot of it depends. You have to look at it, but things you want to make it look like $1 million, even if it's not. When you have, we put a new sink in. Make sure you got the nice looking gooseneck out. I always tell people to do that. Make sure you got good cabinets that are good, solid. Do the doors because the cabinets are solid. Redo the doors because get them all scored away and G them out, and just do that. So it's just little stuff like that. The lighting, push that lighting in, that kind of stuff. Lighting something you'll have to check. The lights out in the front of the house, the back, to make sure the roof's good. The sheeting underneath the roof, the deck. Repaint the house if you have to. Just things like that. A lot of the stuff you can do pretty inexpensively, and you can really work it to your advantage. So you have to factor that in. And then once you get it done 100%, and don't do it at 95, do it at 100%. Then real estate agent go ahead and put it back on the market and market it and get it sold. But be realistic about the price too, because in a hot market, yeah, it'll go quick. But a market that's, kind of it's a good market, but it's not hot. Make sure you price it right. What I mean by pricing right, if it doesn't go in the first 30 days, make sure, and I'm going to say this over and over again. I used to do this every listing. Make sure you have a price drop that needs to correspond where it really needs to go. So if you're going to up it up some more over what the realtor told you, make sure you got a price drop. And days, you want that price drop because you need to get that property. So you wait 30 days, you see they do their brokers open. I never do brokers opens. I thought they were lying because there's a bunch of agents that come up that don't sell any help. It's different. You're in a really high-end area. Well, it's still kind of applied high-end area. It's kind of a different deal. So, these are just things to think about when you're putting on the property, and then they go through their marketing plan, whatever that is, and you just kind of got to go for it and do it. So, they may have one open house or two. I used to never do open houses except unless I plan it. I'm just like an investor. Tell estate agent to go to tomferry.com. Tom Ferry probably had the best open house planning that I'd seen anywhere, because I've met Tom Ferry a bunch of times, and He's got a good coaching program for real estate agents, mortgage brokers. But if you're an investor, you're a seller, you're a buyer, but investor, you're flipping, have them look at the Tom Ferry deal for being a real estate agent. Real estate agents, you should look at it anyways. Another thing too is that if you're a real estate agent, depending where you're at, because it's city by city kind of thing or county ordinances, but you should have 20 to 30 open house signs. And I used to do that. If I did a listing, I think I had 24 open house signs that I used to put out everywhere to make sure that everybody saw who I was, and that I got more listings that way. So this is marketing for you, but also too, this helps your investor because people out there. So you may do it 1 or 2 weekends. And if you're an investor, don't rag on your agent for not doing it enough. If they do it a couple times, that's good. A lot of it's just going to get down to price and the marketing they put out, but it's still going to get down to price. It's always price. So I'm just letting you guys know that. Hold on a second here. Let me do something real quick. Sorry about that. I had to close that and the light was running. Anyways, that's the cool thing about doing this. I can do what I want. Anyway, so this is important stuff for you to need to know, because you need to work with your real estate agent, but you got to get your real estate agent some latitude. And this is a problem that I've seen a lot. Cool. My investors at it. That's why with me and my cousin, because we schooled them how to do it, because we were already doing it ourselves. And we already own hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of properties. And that's right. So you can't get it over on us, because we built spec properties and we built properties and multiple lots and all kinds of, conversions, apartment conversion, all that. So you need to work with them now on a commercial standpoint. You're buying a flip. So you can do it 2 ways. For the 3 ways actually for apartment building. You can get and boot everybody. If you get an apartment, a lot of it's going to get the same thing, but you're going to have at least 20, 25, 30%. But that's not with the stated and the no doc programs that I've got. And if you have a good mortgage broker out there, you can get away with putting down less. You can stated programs, you can get down, you can put it down maybe 15%. You can even do, like I said, the 90 foot program, you might be able to give away with 10% down. So you get away with a lot. This is for apartment buildings, commercial buildings, because generally times you're going to rent those out and then flip it later on. But apartment buildings, you might get, and you might get good one. I remember when the crash happened in 2008-9, but actually a couple years ago in Dallas, I saw these apartment buildings in Dallas that needed help, and I see this in others in Southwest, and like St. Louis, Kansas City, Memphis, Nashville's pretty hot. Nashville, even Austin. So there's different ways that you can work it to your advantage. But apartment building, you have to look at the big picture on that one. Apartment building, I've got, like I said, one program you up to 90% LTV in a flip program, so it's less money to put down. And they'll put money up to help you if you buy it. So, but the thing is that if you're buying the property, you need to look at a couple things when you're buying it. How much money you're putting out, how much cash in the bank to go ahead and flip the property. You're going to rent it, or you're going to convert it to condos and do it. So a lot of those angles you have to look at. If you let's say you buy the property, you flip it, you got to make sure you got a good market evaluation. If you fixed out the property, let's say it's a 15 unit, you got it for, let's just say, I'm making this up, so this is all hypothetical, like $2 million. You got it, you fixed it up for $600,000, $700,000, whatever, and then it's worth, now you fixed it up because it's a decent market, blah blah blah. Now it's worth $4.8 million, but you put this amount of down, you put this, so your profit margin is this because you get your money back. So whatever, and make sure there's no prepayment on the loan. It'll probably be a 25-year loan. And that's how you work it to get kind of a length on it. There are some funders out there doing 30-year, but not too rare. Usually it's usually 15, 20, 25-year for commercial. So those are things to think about, because it's all about the cash. So you flip it out. Now, if you go ahead and fix it up, and you run it out for a while. You get to 90, 95%, 100% occupancy. You run it out, and say you hold on for a few years and you flip it. That's cool too. That works. Or if you do condo conversions, make sure you have a good real estate attorney. Maybe you have a good real estate attorney. I keep saying this over and over again on my broadcasts. You want to do that. Make sure so all the paperwork's done right. And let's say it's a 15 unit, you do a condo conversion on it, you can totally work it. And you might be a powerhouse and you make a lot of cash, which is good. That's what you want. And you may only, you may put 15, 17,000 per unit, maybe less. I don't know. It just depends where you're at. So these are just things for you to look at. And as far as putting these deals together. So I'm just trying to have you think about being smart about it, because you need a real estate agent to help find the properties unless you find it yourself. But also, too, if you have a good real estate agent who's been around a while, that's residential, commercial, you can work both ends of the stick. And so if you can work the residential and commercial end on that one. So remember, on an apartment building, you're either going to get it, fix it, flip it, and you can make a lot of cash doing that. You might get it, hold on to it, rent the whole, boot everybody out, run it out, and then keep it for a couple of years, then flip it. Or you may turn around and do a condo conversion, or condos, get a good real estate attorney, so you can do the paperwork properly, get it squared away. And then what happens is you make sure your real estate agent, you look at all the condos around there, all the similar ones. If you're going to do a condo conversion, no 1 bedrooms and 1 bath. So only get 2 bedroom and 3 bedroom apartments before you do it. And the same thing applies to the apartment as it applies to the residential. You want to make it look like $1 million. You just don't want to spend that for each apartment. So stainless steel appliances, wood floors. I would tell people get rid of the carpets now. Carpets are just, unless you put it in, let's say, one room, but I wouldn't do it anyways. I used to rip the carpets up and put all wood in there. Screw that. Especially with the connector and wood now, it's a lot more inexpensive and there's a lot of good product. And make sure you got the lighting scored away. It's painted nice. Outside of the apartment's painted. All the stuff that you're going to have to do anyways. The plumbing, make sure it's all scored away. The electrical, all that stuff. So also too, another people are doing. They've been doing this for a while now with the electric cars, but now it's really starting to come in. Is adding some electrical car, basically 220s to your garages if they have the Teslas or the Leafs or whatever. They've been doing it for a while, but a lot of people owners haven't been doing it on higher end. But now in the mid end, lower end now, a lot of people are doing that. You think about it's going to cost some money to do it, but it's a good way to do it. It's a good way to flip that. Hey, we go into your garage, put their Tesla in there, for example, and a charging outlet right there. You can go in and plug it in. You're going to need a 220 on there, but it's something cool to do, and it adds more intrinsic value to your property. Intrinsically, so people will pay more for it because they still throw it away. So these are just things I want you to think about. This is just kind of stuff that you need to look at. Remember, it's a cost issue. You need a good real estate agent. You need a good mortgage broker. Make sure your real estate agent does residential and commercial because you can do both ends. Make sure your mortgage broker does residential and commercial. And like I said, you got to ask a lot of questions. If they're going to be working with them for a while, that's rad because it's going to give you an advantage. They're going to be able to help you out, especially if you're working for a while, or a real estate agent, because they're going to tell you things first before they tell anyone else. And I know that a lot of times investors can be kind of hard on real estate agents and mortgage brokers, but you know what? Let it up a little bit. Give them a little bit of a break because they're busting their butts all the time and they're working and they're trying to make money because that's the name of the game. You're trying to make money. So I always tell that, lighten up a little bit and give them a break and, don't be so much of a hard ass, and you're going to have a time of getting more stuff because they're going to call you first when stuff comes up. And that's the name of the game. Because I used to have investors that I had were real jerks at first for a while, but they loosened up over time because when they found out that I wasn't telling them what was going on, when I had all these hot properties come up, I cut them out because they were being such jerks. So if you're going to be a real jerk, remember, you're going to get kind of screwed, especially if you're working with an experienced real estate agent, even a mortgage broker too. Because that mortgage broker might call that real estate agent because that mortgage broker, it happens all the time, and that mortgage broker might come across a property over to that real estate agent, and so these are just things to think about. What I'm saying to you is this is basically a just different ways to look at it and different ways to do it. Everyone's got their own theories on it, but I have experience because I like to be practical about it. But also too, I know how to work deals and I know how to put things together that couldn't. Here's an example of that. I had this long time back. I had a limited practice officer, escrow officer, and basically her best friend was a mortgage broker. This was years ago, 21 years ago, something like that. Anyways, because I was highly aggressive and I did stuff and I could put deals together nobody else could. Anyways, so her best friend was a mortgage broker. She went with me over her best friend was a mortgage broker when they got this house. The reason she did it is because I was more experienced than everybody she knew, owns a real estate, anybody she knew, and I was able to put together a deal nobody else could do. So that tells you a lot right there. And that's the kind of deal with the real estate agent or mortgage broker. And the thing is, the agent that helped her find, which is cool, but I went in that house. I told her all these different things. She already knew I owned tons of properties because I had so many deals going through her office. And so a lot of these were all non-owner occupied deals anyways that I was working. And it was just different house with her husband. And her husband had carpentry knowledge and all this other stuff. And she had a bunch of relatives and he did. And basically I went through the house, told him to do this, so caught out this. And I showed different ways he could save a bunch of money. And then after they bought the property over 6 months, they did this, and that. Did a lot of stuff that they wanted to do. And he cut corners here and here because they need money, but then their house went up about $200,000 and they still own the property today and they got a pretty low mortgage on it. It's one of the areas of Seattle now. And basically the house will probably worth probably 2.2 million, something like that. And they got it for like 600,000, 500,000. Might even be working, but they did all this cool stuff. They fixed it up. It's a 2-story with a basement, and it's a cool looking house and kind of a little colonial house, kind of a neo-colonial, anyways. But it's a cool looking house, and it's big, and it's got 4,200 square feet, and blah 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 blah. But all their kids are out of the house now, anyways. Doesn't matter. But they like living there, and this and this and that. And so I'm saying there's deals out there, and there's things out there. And seeing she had a good real estate agent she knew forever, and I knew the real estate agent anyways, so it was easy to do. When I put the deal together, she stayed at. Told her, give me this, and that, and bing, bam, boom, boom, boom. And I slammed her deal through. So that's the same thing you want with the real estate agent is that, there's the things also too within that investor core. And when you're doing stuff is that if the real estate agent knows the other agent, that's cool. Problem of these, you got to remember the egos get pretty bruisey and they brew, blah, 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 blah. So the cooler you are, the more control you have is better for you and get better deals. It's about being cool. And it took me a long time to out. I'll be no lie, because I'm a type A type of person, and totally type A. But I found out over time that the cooler I was with the agent and that, the more control I had to help get the deal pushed through to get it done, because that's the whole name of the deal. Because basically egos got really out of control, and you had to deal with certain that owned offices or designated brokers. And they try to, flip this, and this, and they're going to do all this kind of crap and blah, 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 blah. It was all BS. I told them to shut up and sit back. I'll deal with your agent. Just stay out of closed. And that's how we do it. See, one thing about if you have a high producing agent, and I was a high producing agent as a mortgage broker, real estate agent, and so was my cousin. And we were really high producers, so we were like the top 1% in Washington State, but also nationally. So, and the thing is, we should just stay out of the way, let the real estate agent and mortgage broker do their thing. Now, really learned this there was this agent that does about this. Okay, this was in 95. So, anyways, I was cold calling, got this listing. And the property was only like 125 or 30,000 in Seattle. The area was in Southwest Seattle. But the agent worked at this big company, but that agent did a lot of deals every year. That we did 150, 160 deals a year. Well, 95 was, pretty good. So when he was a high producing agent, one of the top guys in their company, I don't think he stayed anymore, but I know a few years back, down the road, he was doing 300 deals a year. He was easy with people in his company. He was at a big company too, big franchise company, but he got 300 deals a year, and he did mostly residential, some commercial. Remember him, he scored away, but one thing I learned from him is basically just stay back and let him and his mortgage broker do it. And basically, I just did that, and bam, the deal got closed. It was like cool because I got a double-ended deal on that one because I sold the seller another property somewhere else with his agent a long time ago, who owns a franchise office in one part of outside of Seattle, and she knocks out on her own. She probably does 160 deals a year, easy, and she's got tons of agents. She has some of the top producing agents in the Seattle region, the Puget Sound. But anyways, I stayed out of the way because when they just did a road. But the thing is, I learned to stay out of the way and things get done. Now, she just stayed out of the way because it was all cash, so it was easy. But on the other end, the people about the other house were financing it. So, but the thing is, I just learned to stay out of the way and let do them. And so it took a while. It was in the beginning. I kind of got lucky there, but it's a nice hot head prevail. And I've really smashed heads, and people try to smash my head too. It goes both ways when you're trying to get a deal going because your egos are running, because it's competitive and blah, blah, blah. And down the road, how stupid it was. So what I'm saying to you is, as a investor, a seller, buyer, real estate agent, mortgage broker, your goal is try to get ego out of the situation, just get the deal done so it's less hassle, so you can go on and do the other stuff. And like it's just, like I said, a lot of experience, and it just, it took some time to figure out and to kind of quit doing some of the stuff. But anyways, so that's all I wanted to say today. Like I said, you go to nickforecast.com, email me, or do Facebook at nickforecast and a question for you. Anyways, have a good one.